welcome to today's edition of The Tipping Point. In 2018, that was in May last year, a group of freight forwarders and transport and logistics experts from across Africa, the Middle East, they call them RAMI, that's Regional Africa and Middle East, gathered in Cameroon to discuss the stakes for the transport and logistics sector. One of the things that was noted, and is one of the things that most Cameroonians have always known, is that Cameroon holds a very central position into entering much of Africa. For many countries like Chad, we are the only entry port by sea, and that makes us a strategic partner for transport and logistics within this sector. In that meeting last year, one of the issues that was discussed is training, infrastructure, and policy are some of the major issues that are holding back this sector. I want to focus today on training. Who do you train in this sector, and how do you train them? Cameroon doesn't have any of those institutions at higher or tertiary level that is specialized in training transport and logistic experts. You might have them as, small clusters of institutions, but to have an expert organizations, we don't have too many of those. Fortabe University, we've had Fortabe Elmin here once on the show, is making great strides in that domain to try to bridge that gap. And recently they invited some interesting people from out of the country. From Dubai. Dubai is one of those places in the world where I'm always fascinated each time I see it. And I tell this story about Dubai all the time, and I'm going to tell you again. In the 1960s, Dubai looked like Tico if you've ever been to the creeks in Tico. If you go to Dubai today, I doubt that there is another country or city in the world that I can use and I'll say Dubai now looks like. Rather, you'd use other cities and say they look like Dubai, because Dubai is changing the standards. And so we've brought these experts from Dubai to share with us what they've done, that Dubai now has one of the busiest ports in the world, and how transport and logistics has helped to push this country forward. My guests for today are from the Good Ocean Maritime. I'm sure we're going to have a good conversation in today's edition of the show. We'll be right back. Don't go away. And you're welcome back. And let me introduce you. It's the first time I'm having white people on my show, right? So I wish I could do a standing ovation. But Captain, you're welcome to today's edition of The Tipping Point.
It's my pleasure, my pleasure.
It's definitely wonderful to have you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Your name is Captain VJ Pusha Kumar.
Yeah.
Indian names are so hard to pronounce.
Okay.
How do you guys get about that?
So as African names, I guess.
Oh, okay.
And I want to clarify one thing. I'm not white. I'm colored, and I don't see difference between Indians and Africans or anyone.
Thank you for
We
saying.
are all human beings.
Thank you for saying that. Let me tell you a story.
Yeah.
In Africa, I've not been to much of Africa. In Cameroon, we used to, white people for us were people with long noses.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So we used to be like, white man, white man,
Okay.
white man with a long nose. Since my mother born me, I've never seen it. You know that song? Well, I'll teach you.
Yeah. I'm
Welcome
part
to
of.
Welcome to Cameroon.
Very good.
Glad to have you aboard the show. And then to my left, I have this beautiful lady. I was just telling her off mic that she has a masculine name, and then she was trying to clarify me with all of these cultural issues. Miss Ramja Peteraj, right?
Yes.
You're welcome to today's edition of the
Thank
Tipping
you.
Point. A pleasure to have you. And
My
off mic
pleasure.
too, Min was saying, look at the camera, see how beautiful you look. You're nice.
Thank you.
So my my first question to you guys: how have you enjoyed your stay in Cameroon thus far?
It's been fantastic.
First time for you in Cameroon?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, and what do you like most?
In fact, I don't know whether it is. I should say, to be honest, it is our second time.
Okay.
The first time, our visa papers were not very clear, and we were
Okay.
deported back from
Oh,
Cameroon.
that's
And
an
the visa
experience.
officer was very, very rude to us.
Oh.
I said, when I was flying back, I said, no, I will never come back to Cameroon because things are not very, structured inside the
Yeah.
airport. But then I said, why for one Cameroonian person who did not do his job well. Why should I not go to Cameroon back? And I said,
Thank
no,
you.
Fortabe, I'm coming back to Cameroon again.
I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to try to make up for the visas officers' shortcomings. So next time you come some more.
Sure.
Thank you. Ramja, how has it been for you?
Very good.
Great.
Yes.
What do you like most?
The place, the food, the people. It's
Oh.
more like India. You feel more at home. And yesterday I had Elmin took us for a visit to the port.
Okay.
It's an awesome view.
Okay. The first time I ate Indian food was in Singapore. It was okay, I don't curry something. You know, you do prawns and you put it in some spices and stew. Like it was
Indian
very
curry.
peppery. And Trevor Noah says that's why Indian people speak so fast, because your food is so hot. Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have had you people on the show. So now let's talk transport and logistics. And let's start with the captain.
Okay.
If they call you captain,
Yeah.
it means you're definitely great and excellent at what you do.
Okay.
So my first question to you is, the transport and logistics sector seems most often very traditional, but the world is advancing along very strong technological axis.
Absolutely.
And it's changing the way freight forwarding is done and the way several things are done within this sector.
Absolutely.
How are you, as someone who is training people in this sector, coping with the dynamism of it?
See, the first basic thing is, in terms of Cameroon is concerned, the education for logistics and shipping is still its nascent stage. We can talk about technological developments and advancements only when your basic human resource is trained for basic operational requirements. Because logistics and transport is all about time. Time is money. And if things are not done, the transactional cost today in Cameroon and India, the cost of logistics is about 15 to 20% of the cost of the product. So why this is happening is because inefficiencies in the system, the road infrastructure is poor, human infrastructure is poor, corruption, rail infrastructure is slow, air infrastructure doesn't cope up, and shipping extremely slow inside port operations. All this adds up to the detentions and demurrages and disputes, and finally when the cargo reaches the consumer, it's very expensive. So what I see as an outsider of Cameroon is that Cameroon is the best geometrically and strategically, geographically located, where it can serve almost 1/3 of the south or western coast of Africa if it can be developed well. And to begin with, human resource development is extremely important. To recognize logistics and supply chain as a subject, and sending the students abroad and getting them trained, get them global view and bring them back here so that they contribute to the GDP of the nation.
Thank you very much. And you mentioned some very key fundamental problems that we're facing, like you've done a study of it. I actually have. And in 2016, it took as long as it took for goods to leave the port of Douala to Jamena, which has a distance of about 1,020 or so kilometers, as it would take for those same goods to leave China of about 30,000 kilometers and get here. Well, I heard you say something off mic that India is a young nation. Cameroon is also a young nation. But Dubai is an even younger nation. But you guys have been able to play around these difficulties. So what did you do that got you out of this time when it was almost like pool hand canoes in the ports of Dubai to now that you have all the major stakeholders working in those ports, so that what can Cameroon do actively, so maybe in the next 10-15 years we can see some significant changes?
The most important thing in this sector to develop is political will. The leadership of the country, the management, whether you're the ruling power or opposition, everybody must come together to ensure education side is not disturbed at all. Every person has to be educated, not only in logistics and shipping, let it be medical, engineering, law, whatever it is. Human resource involvement and capital development are extremely important. India has not done as good as Dubai. Dubai political is very strong. We have some problems in India. One of the biggest problems in India is corruption, which is there. I'm sure corruption is there in most parts of the world. So, okay, fine, I have no issues with all this, but at least when it comes to nation development and education, because as I see from outside, Cameroon is an agriculture dependent economy, also oil and gas economy. No, with oil, we'll finish in next 20 years. And agriculture depends on weather, global warming is happening, we don't know. So the best investment will be on human beings and human capital. And unless you develop human capital individually at grassroots levels, no nation develops.
So let's talk about the training now. You've already engaged for the past few days with a couple of young people who are interested in this sector. We're taking courses at a FUNIC. And what do you think is lacking fundamentally in the training of transport and logistics students in Cameroon?
Yeah, I see there's a shortage of clear-cut syllabus. First, there has to be very clear-cut syllabus. Then we should also train good faculty in each subject, and it should not be done superficially. It has to be done in a very structured manner, because after all we are talking about making a career to a student. It should not be eyewash. It should not be eyewash certification and all those things. At the end of the day, your education training must help them to make their life, so that it helps the nation to develop. They all contribute to GDP.
Now, I sat through one of your classes, even if it was only for a very brief moment, and I saw you trying to mimic an operation from the time probably someone buys, going through the exporter, the importer, insurance, and all of those things. And you did say one of the things that we're lacking is clear-cut operations. We know that from here, this goes here, this is the cost of this, and then this happens. We don't have that. So how do we practically train our students when the cost of importing a car from France today is different from what it would be tomorrow, and depending on who you meet on that desk?
Absolutely.
And so we have these dynamics, but how do we train on a platform that we can be sure that this is standardized and measures that we can definitely use for sustainability?
Yeah, one good thing I saw is one of the aspects of this logistics and shipping is customs angle, and I happen to meet some good customs officer who has given a good training for the Cameroonian students, Douala students. Once the customs is standardized, the next step probably I look at is digitalization, and training students to understand on the flow of the cargo, the process, the legalities, and then the process has to be digitalized using technology, so that everybody comes on central platform and there's no scope for correction. Today in India,
It's expensive.
no, it's an initial investment. I'm sure there's so many technology entrepreneurs in your country, and if they are brought together and some logistics professionals come together, create a platform where human intervention has to be minimized, so then automatically corruption goes away and straight away documents are filed, everything is clear. Now if India finally, after 70 years of independence, now we have come for very close to digitalization, things are getting faster.
I'm glad you said that, because we are nearing 70 years after independence. And a couple of years ago, we had some a document that was, it's not just a document, the ministry, I'm not sure I can get that ministry exactly, but so let me not mix up my facts. But we were trying to digitalize that process, so you could actually do your customs clearing online. It's still just a document at that ministry. We haven't gotten there. Political will is one of the issues that you have said is a problem. But what happens when the people who are practicing on the ground don't have a firm grasp of the tools that you wanted them to use to be able to do this?
So, see, this is the area where institutions like FOTEB University, FUNIC, all these higher educational institutions are trying to do their bit of contribution to the nation, trying to train and educate the students, bring them, give them some international opportunities. It is a long drawn process. It will be a lifetime process, because nations evolve. It's a continuous process.
Thank you. So we keep hoping.
Yeah.
And let me come to you. And when they were giving me your profile, they said one of the things you do is, and I was looking through your website today, so your internship opportunities,
Yes.
and you give students opportunity to intern either in Dubai or sometimes India. It's longer in India. And my first question is, can I join on the next
You're welcome.
consignment?
You're welcome.
Should be put in Media City.
You're
Okay, the
welcome.
journalists.
Oh, in Media City, yes. Okay, because the reason I asked that is, and I don't mean to water down our economy or to water down our people, but most often people hear an opportunity to do an internship abroad and they jump into a program, not necessarily because they are interested in it, but because it gives me an opportunity to go to Dubai. So whatever you're going to say, I really don't care. And I want to ask you, of the students you've had students from Cameroon already, right?
Yeah,
Oh.
we had a short program last year.
Did any of them misbehave?
No, not at all.
Oh, you enjoyed them?
Yes.
Great. So we can commend their efforts. We know we had some who went out to some places and then they ran and they did not come back.
No.
Really? Okay, thank you. So I want to commend all of those people. They did a great job and they stayed on it. But I want to ask you, when you intern in an institution, you want to grab hands-on skills and see what happens everyday life. And then you come back to your country and it's night and day. What do you tell them while they're there that makes them come back here and be able to still say, okay, Cameroon is not where Dubai is, but hopefully I can do an excellent job such that someday Cameroon would be what we expect them to be. Because if we can't get that feedback, then we're wasting our time, right? So how do you do that?
Let me just go through the genesis of how it all started. Our parent organization, Indian Institute of Logistics, offers courses only in logistics and shipping, postgraduate MBA, UG programs. So all this while in the last 6 to 7 years, we've been having students, 100 students at least coming from India to do the international internship at Dubai. And we are blessed with 360 visas in a year. We can send 360 students to Dubai, and the internship period is around 60 days. Now in the 60 days, we give them a platform. It's basically a springboard what we can give. The opportunities are immense. Dubai is a place, I mean, as you rightly said, it's a place where you can build wonderful memories. It is a place where stories can be written. It is a place where I can go on and on. It's a place where dreams come true. So it's up to the student in terms of the opportunities which are available. What we give them is we connect them to the logistics and shipping organizations. We have signed more than 100 plus MOUs, and we send the students on education visa, which is very important. So I mean, Dubai immigration has given us granted us 360 visas. So we send the students on the education visa 60 days. So they get to learn whatever they learned in the conceptual classroom. They implement that at the practical level in the offices. I mean, 100 students, I can only talk about my Indian students now. Out of the 100 students, 60 to 70 don't come back to India because they are offered offer letters there and they continue working there. And Dubai is very welcoming. I mean, it's more cosmopolitan today. We have the best port, we have the best airport. I mean, the infrastructure
almost everything is best in Dubai. Dubai wants to have the biggest this, the tallest that, the this. You guys, the S in all these superlatives, you guys want that.
Right now we have the new thing called the Innovation Index. Dubai is number 14 on it, and which only focuses, again, the first priority on the objective on the Innovation Index is human capital, education, research and development. With the Expo 2020 coming up in Dubai, there's a world of opportunities for youngsters. So this is the right platform and time to be in Dubai, because we have around 40,000 to 45,000 job opportunities at the entry level. So if we have trained, skilled professionals in logistics, because Dubai is basically a logistics hub. Every other domain piggybacks on logistics, and we have the best port, Jebel Ali, between Rotterdam and Singapore. So a lot of opportunities are available for these youngsters. For Cameroon students, as you rightly said, with Douala Port and Kribi Port, a lot of development is happening. For our dream is to put at least 60 students on a flight to Dubai, give them the kind of exposure at Dubai in the logistics and shipping domain, and I mean, some of them might continue there, some of them might come back, but when they come back, the rich experience of the truly international standard what Dubai is definitely there on. So the way they come back and function, they're definitely differentiators in the crowd. This is our.
So what you've been doing in the past few days that you've been here, have you been sourcing for some of those students? Do you already have 60, or what does it take to be on the list, or you have just students from particular institutions that you work with?
No, right now, we have a couple of students who have expressed interest, but our dream is to, over a point of time, if we can transform lives of few Cameroon students. Why not? Because with that kind of exposure, I'm sure that they can come back and serve the country at a very truly international standards. So our objective and a dream and a vision is to make that happen. And I always tell my students, this is not my quote, but the quote of Prime Minister of Dubai: in the race for excellence, there is no finish line. So you keep innovating, you keep progressing. So that's what I would put it across.
So what does it take to benefit from this opportunity?
You get exposed to the international standards. The processes are different. It's more structured. What you learn theory.
I guess my question is, what if I wanted to say I'm a transport and logistics student, so how do I be amongst the list of the potential Cameroonians that you take to Dubai and train?
Right now our partner is Phoenix University, so they get in touch with them, and then we start processing their visa papers, and we start fixing the internships, and we brief them completely in terms of, and we welcome them at Dubai.
Oh, that's exciting. Now, when they are in Dubai, you place them in different companies and they do work that cuts across different operations within the sector, or do you specialize in particular aspects?
No, right now we would want to focus for Cameroon on logistics and shipping, but we are open for the other domains as well as we progress further. So as a pilot batch, we would want to send them only for logistics and shipping.
All
So
right.
that's what we want to do.
So with that, let me cross back to you, Captain. Logistics and shipping.
Yeah.
What's the prospect for Cameroon? What do you see?
Huge prospects because, for example, like Singapore and Jebel Ali Port, Dubai, or Hong Kong or Shanghai ports, Douala Port is in a very, you have AP Mola terminals, Maersk terminals inside Douala Port. Maersk would have not invested in Douala unless it is very strategic. So there are many more opportunities to make for inland terminals, warehouses, huge opportunities for Cameroon and Douala.
Okay. Take a small sector
Yeah.
of the transport and logistics industry as a whole, freight forwarding.
Yeah.
Cameroon has over 7,000 of those.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the very official or practical and registered sense as an enterprise, but these are the people
Correct.
that are within this sector.
Absolutely.
And yet we don't see the impact. I mean, I talked to a few people who are in freight forwarding, and there's a ton of opportunity there that we're yet to begin to tap into. So what are some of the areas that you've seen that we've not yet tapped into that we could get there and maybe help us boom?
First of all, my salutations to those 7,000 freight forwarders of Cameroon, because trust me, they're running your country as far as EXIM trade is concerned, the export-import trade is concerned, the logistics. They are the hidden soldiers of this country. They are the backbone of economy. These 7,000. I'm not sure whether they have an association or not, but they must form an association and take this forward. And today, because funding for the entire process, in fact, freight forwarders does funding for the actual freight, everything, and then they give credit to the customer, exporter, importer, and get their payments after 60 days, after 90 days. So freight forwarding is a really challenging job, and it's a great place to be there.
All right. Thank you very much, Captain and Ramja, for having been here. We're almost concluding on the session. And so this is one last question for let me start with you so that I end with the lady. Okay. I mean, the lady should have the last word on the show. That makes a lot of sense. So I want to talk about the human resource, the people that are here. Very recently, we've had some very interesting conversations around training human resources in Cameroon, not just in transport and logistics, but across the board. But training is a fundamental issue for us, because we believe that our productivity tomorrow depends on the way we train the people that are going to run those sectors today. So I want you to get us one best experience from India and one best from Dubai. And say, okay, Cameroonians, I'm leaving you guys today or tomorrow. And I think if you use this, it's going to help you a lot.
Absolutely.
And we're going to take it. Maybe not as gospel truth, since there are many gods in India. We'll just take it as
1,000 plus gods in India.
1,000 plus. Great. The one at the Golden Temple.
Yeah.
That's the one that I like.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Guru Gobind Singh. Guru
That-
Gobind Singh.
Okay.
Sikh. Yeah.
Okay. So, what's your number one advice from India and then from Dubai?
Yeah. In India today, I do not know about your constitution.
Mm.
Right to education is a fundamental right.
Mm.
So, if you can implement right to education, may be inside the constitution books,
Mm.
but it has to be on the grassroots level, shall be implemented, because every child deserves to be inside a school, right from kindergarten
Mm.
to 18. So India today, we are almost close to achieving that. Our gross enrollment ratio in the higher education is touching about 30%. So that is education, education, education. For nation's growth, there is nothing to beat anything else. That is from Indian perspective. And from Dubai perspective, it gives you must be ambitious, invest in education, invest in training, have faith in yourself, whether you know English or not, whether you know French or not, whether you are from a village. Don't doubt yourself. Don't doubt your ability. When you come from a very poor background, I belong to a village. I came from a very low middle class background. So for all those guys, if you are a village, you are the guy to be there in the top cities. Please come out of your village. Please come out of your towns. Go to Dubai or anywhere in the world. Make huge opportunities work for you, and then come back to Cameroon.
Mm.
Bring it back,
All right.
and that's how you develop your nation. And I wish
Come
you good
back,
luck.
come back. Don't
Yes,
don't
I'm
stay
not
there.
saying permanently go.
Come back. That's very essential.
Mm.
And okay, Ramya, Dubai is very cosmopolitan, and you see Douala. Douala has about 3 million people or so right now, and that's almost the population of Dubai, right? Dubai is around 4 or 5.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
think so. Okay, we're not doing bad. That's just ringing in my head. But there are lots of Cameroonians who are in rural settings who would probably never even get an opportunity to watch a program like this, and they would never get an opportunity to have the opportunities that you are offering. What do you say if by chance they could hear this, that in their little hub, what can they begin to do such that they can even better their status, even if they don't have access to education? What is there? Can we do this on our own, or must we get help?
No, I think education, as he rightly pointed out, a structured, a short-term or longer program on logistics and shipping would definitely be required to step foot in Dubai. Any profile, any profession in Dubai, I mean, even a person has to be the best. Otherwise, the country does not accommodate such kind of professionals. So I think a structured learning is very important, and we have now we've been working on some programs with Fortebe University in terms of giving short-term and long-term programs. I think the first step would be to get a training in logistics and shipping, because nobody teaches you from day one. Once you get, and Dubai standards are really high. But then if anybody has the desire to excel, and definitely I think that's the place to be in. So a stepping stone should be a general education in terms of logistics, and the second step, yes, definitely they should have an international exposure, and then they can come back at any point of time after getting that rich experience. They can serve the country back.
Thank you very much. Lady and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having you on the Tipping Point. And to our guests and our viewers, we say thank you for having stayed faithful. Keep watching. You can follow us on YouTube, Richard Atem-Ojong, or on Facebook. The handle is the same, or the Tipping Point. You are going to find us on these places. And we'll see you again sometime.
Sure.
Would redo this. You
Sure.
take us to Dubai.
Yeah.
You're taking me to Dubai next time, right?
Then next time you'll also be there with us.
Yes, if
Yes,
they
yes.
don't bring me
And
along,
probably I'll
I
bring the
will cause
students
trouble.
who does this Dubai trip and come back.
Okay.
They should be on the show so they can share their first-hand experience.
Great, thank you. Okay, so we leave that to Fortebe University to work the logistics.
Yes.
So we see how that goes. Ladies and gentlemen, until some other time, God keep you. It's bye-bye for today.